Good morning. Good morning. Deprescribing. Have you heard of that word? Deprescribing. Now, that might be a new word for you, but it could be the most empowering word on your healing journey. Okay? So, what's deprescribing? Deprescribing is the intentional, supervised, it's a supervised reduction, excuse me, it'll get out here in a minute. It's a supervised reduction or elimination of medications that you may no longer need. It may no longer be necessary for you, or it is the reduction or elimination of a medication that's causing you harm. Now, what deprescribing is not, is that it is not just a practice of throwing meds away or just quitting your medications cold turkey. Just taking all your medicines, putting it in a bag and putting it in the trash. It's not that. Deprescribing is asking yourself, do I still need this? Many times people are on medications for a long time. Sometimes it's almost like the world has made being on prescription medications normal. They have normalized the fact that, it's okay to go to the doctor and get a prescription, for every little thing. And I'm here to say that's not normal, to go to the doctor for every little thing, every time something hurts or feels funny or it doesn't seem right. Our ancestors did not do that. Now, there's multiple reasons our ancestors didn't do that, because they use natural means, they use holistic means for healing their body. And as a matter of fact, many of them didn't go to doctors. Our ancestors did not go to doctors. They used nature. They went out in the woods. They went out in the forest, and they found things, they found plants to heal their body. But nowadays, it's normal to be taking like 3 prescription medications, 5 prescription medications, and sometimes even 10. Let me tell you a quick story. I was a home health visiting nurse for pretty much 18 years. And part of my job was to enroll people or admit them to the home health services. So I would go out to their homes, and part of the admission process was to not only get paperwork signed, but also do an assessment on the patient and also to check to see what kind of medications they were on. So we always had to create a file for them or create a record. And so we would have to find out what medications they were on. And I was so surprised that, during my career, I ran into multiple people who, when I said, let me see the medications that you're on, they would pull out a shoebox filled with medications. I kid you not. A shoebox full of prescription medication. And that always just baffled me. It's like, do you see that you're taking a shoebox full of medication? Does that bother you? Most of the times it was normal for that patient. And I'm talking about 25 years ago, when I was a home health visiting nurse. It was normal even back then for people to, be on that many medications. And I always wondered why they were on so many meds and how did it get that way? How did they get on a shoebox full of medications? And so I made it. I made it my duty to figure it out. And much of the time, what I figured out was that the patients were going to more than one doctor, and they would have the same complaints to more than one doctor, and the doctor would prescribe a medication. And then sometimes the medication would be the same medication. Let's say Dr. Smith ordered lisinopril for the blood pressure, and Dr. Smith did too. Dr. Smith and Dr. Jones ordered the same medication. One of them may have been generic name, and the other one could be the trade name. I'm just giving you examples of how it happened. And the patient was not taught that, what the medication was. So part of our job as home health nurses was to teach people about their medications. And they were surprised that they were on the same medication from two different doctors. They were totally surprised. And many times that was some of the basis of their illness, was because they were taking so many medications and they had so many side effects, and then medications for the side effects. So these box full of medications, as we were seeing the patient, we eventually got that problem solved. So I was doing deprescribing even back then. So I would call the doctors and say, hey, I don't know if y'all know, she's on lisinopril, but one of them is a generic and one of them is a trade. And so we would eliminate medications that way. But prior to that, that patient was at risk. The patient was at risk with all that shoebox full of medications. They were totally at risk. Their life was at risk, and they didn't even know it. Okay. And another reason that I discovered that people would have these shoeboxes full of medications was that it was free. Like, they thought it was free. So the doctor wrote out the prescription, they took it to their pharmacy, and the pharmacy filled it. And sometimes if you're not going to the same pharmacy every time, that's another way that people can have more than one medication that's the same, because the pharmacies don't talk to each other. The pharmacy systems, like Walgreens system has no access to CVS system. CVS system has no access to your hometown pharmacy. So with the pharmacies not talking to each other, and the doctors not talking to each other, and knowing, who prescribed what and when, then that is how the patient got into trouble. Now, I wish that system would change. And there are people out there trying to work on having a system that for all pharmacies to input into, so that one pharmacy would know that another pharmacy was filling that particular drug, and they would see that if this drug was already filled by another pharmacy, then we could not fill it here. And we would educate the patient that is the goal, so that we can prevent this polypharmacy. And that's what's happening, and that's what's causing a lot of problems in the world of healthcare. Now, I talked about the insurance. Let me go back a minute. The insurance paying for your medications. And then because the insurance pays for medication, most of the time, there are some medicines that the insurance will not pay for. But most of the time, patients do not, go into the drive-thru, hand the prescription and say, hey, if my insurance didn't pay for this, how much would this medication cost? Have you ever done that? How much would this medication cost if my insurance didn't pay for it? Y'all would be surprised. Metformin, which is one of the most common medications for type 2 diabetes, metformin, for the most part, the generic brand of metformin can cost like $10, $30 a month, for a generic prescription. But if you were to get the name brand generic metformin, it could cost you $350 if you were paying out of your pocket and your insurance wasn't covering it. So then I have to ask, would you still get it if it was $350? That's a question to ask, okay? That's a sidebar, and I'm probably going down a rabbit hole with that one, a rabbit hole, with that one. So I'll table that for now, the cost of medication. But I discovered in my home health career that because medications were quote unquote free, that is the reason that, more people got the prescriptions filled that their doctor gave them, and they didn't question it at all because they weren't paying for it. And so that got us to where we are now, where people are on 5, 10, prescription medications. All right. So we're on these prescriptions. We're not questioning why we're on these prescriptions. And we're on these prescriptions, y'all, 5 years, 15 years. If you can put in the chat that you are on some medicine that you've been taking for 5 years, and you would think that you wouldn't need it this long, right? And the reason you would not need it this long is because you are not healing. These prescriptions are not healing you. They are managing your symptoms. Okay? They are managing your system. Now, deprescribing opens the door to the root cause of the problem. When you start taking these medicines away and then you start working with yourself, you start wanting to live a holistic lifestyle. You want to live a healthier lifestyle. Then the deprescribing will help with that. When you start weaning off. Now, this is going to be with the help of your doctor. We're not renegades, but it's going to be with the help of your doctor. So I can help. If you are on 10 medications, I can help you get off those 10 medications. We'll be working together with your doctor, and we'll figure out, how we can get you from 10 medicines maybe down to 1, or from 10 medicines maybe down to 3. Okay. And it's a process. You didn't get here overnight. So it's not going to be an overnight thing, but you will gradually start healing, and you will, with the program that we have in this circle, you will gradually start healing, and you will gradually see that you have no need for some of the prescriptions that you have been prescribed. Now, deprescribing, like I mentioned earlier, is not a quick fix process. And because it must be done gently, it must be done wisely and holistically. And it has to be done with support. Now, you will not be able to do this by yourself. Most people cannot do this by themselves because they need some support. Okay, and we support people in the circle. Now, you deserve to have a life beyond the prescription pad. And in the circle, and I'm speaking about the holistic healing circle that we have, we want to help you start living a holistic lifestyle. We want you to start being more mindful of the foods that you're eating, being more mindful of the lifestyle that you have. So we want to help you with that. So when you join the circle, you will be able to start progressing to a healthier lifestyle. And with that healthier lifestyle, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to, be more available to your family. You won't need as much rest periods. Okay, so your life is going to transform, and that is what we do in the circle. Okay. I will have, in the circle, we're going to start having workshops and classes that are coming up for those who want to deprescribe, get off some of their medications. We're going to have some workshops for that. If you want to know more about the deprescribing and how you can eliminate the prescriptions that you're on, put the word deprescribe in the comments. Put deprescribe in the comment if you want to know more about the upcoming programs that we're going to have to help people get off all the toxic, I'm going to call it toxic, the toxic medications. So I am, for those who don't know me, my name is Sharon Fant. I'm a registered nurse, and I have been working in healthcare in the medical field for over 38 years. And I'm here to support you in your healing journey. So join me every morning, Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. I always forget to say it's Central Standard Time because I know people watching me are in different time zones. So it is 7 a.m. Central Standard Time here in Houston. For those who don't know, I'm in Houston, Texas. So join me Monday through Friday. If you can't catch me live, please watch the replay. And we will talk to you tomorrow.